Thank you for joining us to this workshop about managing stress and anxiety during this crazy period of lockdown. And so we're really glad to have you here today on board. So Kelly and I are going to introduce ourselves, but first I would like to let you know some practical and admin notes first. So as you can hear, you're mute to cut any background noise, but you can raise your hand anytime and I can let you talk in. You have the chat box here, so you can ask any question during the workshops. So it's going to be a 90 minutes, 60 minutes presentation. Of course, you can jump in time, but at the end, we've got 30 minutes dedicated to the question and answer. So this workshop is recorded, so you will be able to, for those who can't watch it or being present now, you can watch it later, and you get those who are attending, you're going to have the link to share it later. This workshop is going to be live on Facebook as well, if it's working. And our aim is to make that very interactive, so it's not just us talking at you, but the more you put in, the more you're going to get out from this workshop. So thank you everyone again for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Hey, a warm welcome to everyone from me. It's great that you can join. Awesome you're investing your time and your heartbeats being here. As Melissa said, our aim is to deliver as much value as we can. This workshop's focused around offering the real world tools, insights and understanding that you can apply in your life to manage stress and anxiety, and also to build resilience so you can show up and be your very best. A little bit about us. So I'm Kelly, and you met Melissa. So we're developmental coaches at Pure Results Coaching. And for us, we're all about unleashing human potential, both in leaders and teams. And that's all around building self-understanding, because without self-understanding, we can't manage ourselves and we can't lead ourselves. So our philosophy is on the more you can understand how you're being you, how you're bringing yourself to any situation, the more you can have awareness, and awareness creates choice, and with fresh choice you can lead yourself. So it's all about having challenging conversations to create clarity, create self-belief, create an action plan so you can be your very best in any situation. As Melissa mentioned, anytime during the webinar, just raise your hand or pop a question in the chat box and we can pause and answer that question. And we'll also have some time at the end of the session to answer any questions and also create an action plan, be clear on what you want to take away. Hey, our purpose for today is we've got 90 minutes to share this information, and our purpose is we want to share how we all create stress and anxiety. Like we do it as humans, how we create stress and anxiety, and then once you understand stress and anxiety, we can flip it over and how you can build resilience. So some people call resilience the ability to bounce back from any situations. We want to add more to that so that we can give you the skills and the tools so that you're not even affected by outside events. You can handle them with ease, handle them with confidence, and move forward with the best path. And all this leads to self-leadership, as we mentioned, so you can lead yourself fully and completely, and then bring your best self to interactions with the people you care about. And then you can be that shining star, that role model, that inspiration for the people around you. You can support them fully. The whole way through this webinar, we want to be offering practical tools. So this is not theoretical, this is real world stuff that you can apply. You can offer to your team, whether you're leading people or whether you offer them to your family or the people you care about. And also at the end, we're going to pause and create a bit of an action plan, reflect on the key takeaways, things you can put into practice, and we'll have some free goodies we want to offer at the end as well that you can use. So we're all about vertical development, and vertical development is about growing your capacity as a human to lead. So rather than performance coaching, which is coaching to a problem, really we're about helping people develop So if you think of a glass that's half full, we can add water to the glass to add some more to it. That's kind of adding skills. But we're going to come to a point where the water's going to overflow from the top. So our ethos is actually expanding the glass, expanding your capacity so you can move forward and handle new problems, handle even bigger problems with ease. Some of the stuff we share today might be new. Some of it you might know already. Some of it you might agree with. Some of you might disagree with. Either's fine. Our invitation is don't trust us. Don't trust what we say, which might sound weird, but rather go and put it into practice. Put these skills into practice and then check for the difference. When you try using these skills in real world situations, what's the difference it makes? And then if they're useful, hold on to them and use them again. Anything else you would like to add to that, Melissa?
No, I was trying to make the Facebook Live streaming working, but it's still, I don't know, thinking about it. So,
oh, well.
But the recording is working well.
No bother. Technology will catch up.
Yeah.
And our other purpose of today is to have some fun. Have some fun, enjoy this process. The more you put into it, the more you get out. Hey, there's no silly questions. Anything you want to ask, please feel free to ask. We don't guarantee to have the answer, but we can explore it. How does this land for everyone? Give us a little wave or a thumbs up. I'll take that as all good. Hey, so we're in this this current situation, COVID-19. So it's affecting the whole world. We've all got a situation that's outside of our control, and it's generating a whole lot of emotions for most people. It's generating stress and anxiety and fear and frustration, and all that's perfectly understandable because it's affecting so many parts of our lives, probably almost every part of our lives in some way. So for you, so we can ground this webinar and your life, make it really applicable for you. A couple of questions to get us started. What are your biggest challenges at the moment? What are your biggest challenges? And not just COVID, but actually more specifically. Is it having your kids at home? Is it maybe your job has been affected, your business? Maybe it's family overseas. What do you just make a note, take a minute to make a note. For you, what are your biggest challenges at the moment? And then hand in hand with that, how much stress or anxiety are you feeling? And you might measure that out of 10. So 10 being highest. And so if I think about, so my business, for example, some clients have been affected and business has slowed down. Maybe it's creating a bit of stress or worry. Out of 10, how much is it? So just take a few minutes for you. Cool. I'll take it that you've got that. We can keep on adding to that. Some more insights might bubble up as we go on. So the first part we want to explore and offer to you is gaining an understanding about what stress is, stress and anxiety, what they are, and with that understanding, then comes the ability to create new choice and to manage it. With understanding, we can do something about it. Both for yourself and the people around you. So for stress and anxiety, the first thing we want to talk about is fear. And I'll hand over to Melissa to explore this a bit more.
So as you can see on the small cartoon drawing, so fear can be very powerful and natural. So it's a primitive human emotion. It alerts us to the presence of danger, and it was very critical in keeping our ancestors alive. So fear can be very powerful. So imagine your child crossing the road and you see your car driving not far away. So fear is here to keep you alert and help you. So fear is an alarm that makes you react. Fear is your motivation that gives you actions. So fear, we have fear from a real risk, so it's useful. So anxiety is also a natural body response to stress. It's a feeling of fear or apprehension about what's to come. So it's an emotion characterized by tension, worried thoughts. So it's a stress response from our thoughts. So for example, you're thinking about your grandma overseas that you won't be able to see, or you're thinking about your job situation right now, your kids at home, the homeschooling, the presentation you have to do next week online. So these are thoughts that are worrying you, that creates fear in your mind, that generates stress and anxiety. So, but these thoughts haven't happened yet. So why are you worrying about them right now? Why are you creating this anxiety? So if we summarize, fear is real and anxiety is not reality, it's thought.
Awesome, thanks Melissa. So kind of adding a bit more to that and reiterating what Melissa said. So fear is useful. You know, fear in the moment is a useful emotion. You know, so I think if you know, so if you're walking down an alleyway and a dog lurches out, and it's all snarling teeth and barking and ferocious eyes, you'll probably feel fear, and that fear, you know, will probably cause you to step back. So fear in the moment is useful. When we're feeling fear, we're activating that part of our brain where we operate from fight, flight, or freeze. You know, so we cut off our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that we have executive decision-making, rational reasoning, executive decision-making. We cut that part off and we revert to the amygdala where we're fight, flight, or freeze. So in the moment, it's useful, but only for those kind of core functions. You know, run away, fight it, or if those two fail, then we freeze up. And with anxiety, the risk with anxiety is we're thinking about a fear that hasn't happened yet, but we're cutting off the prefrontal cortex. We're cutting off this executive part of our mind, which really means we're not, we're kind of lowering our IQ, you know, not literally, but we're not making smart choices. You know, so when we go to fight or freeze, there's only a few options there. So, you know, being a rational, intelligent human, if we're stuck in that way, trying to plan for our best course of action for ourselves and our family and our business, it's not helping us. So with anxiety, we're going to talk about anxiety, and we're kind of, stress and anxiety, we're mainly going to focus on anxiety with the definition of it's, you know, thinking about a problem, the rest of the slide, that it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, so we're thinking about something that might go wrong, but it hasn't happened yet. And I suppose a classic example is maybe someone's giving a presentation or a speech on the Monday morning, and the week before it's due, they're up at 2 in the morning, they can't sleep, and they're worrying about it's going to fail, or they're going to forget their lines, or their pants are mysteriously going to drop down, or whatever it is. There's a fear running that hasn't happened yet. So the first nugget of information that we want to offer, and this really rocked my world when I first heard it, was anxiety. It's not a thing, which sounds bizarre, right? Because it really feels real. When we're feeling, when we're doing anxiety, you know, people say we've got anxiety, we feel some sensations in our bodies. We feel emotions. You know, we might feel in our chest, or our throat might feel constricted. We might get hot and sweaty, might get some tunnel vision. So it really feels real, but actually it's a verb that's been nominalized. You know, it's a verb that's been turned into a noun. So we can't go to the fridge and, you know, take out, you know, pour a glass of anxiety. You know, you can check for yourself. Maybe you can check, when was the last time you tripped over a big pile of anxiety? You know, we don't do it, right? Like it doesn't exist as a thing. So the insight is anxiety is a doing process where we create anxiety. So that's one nugget of information we want to offer. Hand in hand with that is, if you're feeling anxious, you know, you can take your awareness to your mind and be aware of what you're thinking, and even say to yourself, okay, wow, so I'm creating some anxiety now. I'm creating anxiety because it's an inside job. You know, it's a thinking process that we run in our minds. And having that awareness of thinking, of cognitive thoughts, in itself can give you enough space to create new choices. So about this point, so that truth bomb, you know, that we create our own anxiety, really begs the question, if we're doing it to ourselves, if we're creating anxiety for ourselves, there must be a good reason, right? Because us humans, we don't do things unless we get benefits from them on whatever level. Even if we're trying to help people, we mean well, we get benefits from things. So if we take it as true that we create our own anxiety, what do we get out of the deal? So we'll unmute you, everyone, and hey, just maybe throw some ideas in the chat window, or you can speak. What's your thoughts? And that's a weird question. What benefits do we get out of creating our own anxiety? Sandrine.
Yeah, I suppose it helps you to a certain level prepare for the future. So you identify a gray zone that's potentially not dangerous but problematic, and if you're aware of it, you can act.
Yeah, bang on. So you're spot on, and that's one of the biggest benefits of anxiety is in our mind with this, you know, with this big supercomputer whirring over, you know, 10,000 revs a second. And we're thinking of all these possible things that could go wrong. So yeah, bang on. And then as part of that, you know, the positive intention of thinking of things that could go wrong is safety, right? So you know, say someone's giving a presentation, they might think, well, what if my slides don't work? What if they ask me about this? What if they want to know the kind of the cost breakdown? What if? So we're running through and preparing for any emergency. Yep, bang on. Other benefits.
So we have Janet writing for her. She thinks it helps her to work through problems in advance.
Yep, kind of similar. We can foresee possible problems and then find solutions. So again, preparation, keeping us safe. And with the keeping us safe part, if we explore that, often it's keeping us safe from, we might think, you know, failure. You know, if I don't have the answer to that, then what does that mean? Does it mean I'm not good enough? Does it mean I'll fail? Does it mean I'll look foolish? Yeah, nice one. Any others in the chat window?
No.
I've captured about I think about 5 benefits from my experience. Anyone else got any?
Oh yeah, we've got Elizabeth. I think she said she's related to the preparation already mentioned. It can make us work harder towards achieving certain goals.
Yeah, nice, Jeanette. So that's a really valuable one, really useful one. Anxiety is a really effective form of motivation. Right, so it can motivate us to move into action, and the motivation is away from. So it's kind of away from failing, you know, away from getting it wrong. So it's, you know, but as far as motivation strategy goes, it's a bit painful because it causes anxiety, and you know, we might lose sleep, we might get irritable or cranky or all these kind of things. But yeah, it's really powerful motivation. Nice one.
And Bronwyn, she wrote, it can make you feel like you're doing something, like taking action.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So we, even though it might be treading water, you know, we're kind of stuck in our brain. We kind of think, well, at least I am doing something. I'm thinking about things. The trap can be if we don't take those thoughts and do something with them.
And from Elsa, to re-prepare ourselves to the worst prepare.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, so the whole preparation safety thing again. These are some of the benefits that we've come across in coaching, and there's probably more. So one takeaway is uncomfortable and crappy as anxiety feels, we get benefits from it. So with this insight, we can check, well, is it the best way to get the benefits? You know, can I achieve these benefits without creating anxiety? So that's a valuable question. So some of the benefits we've captured, so warning sign, safety check, as a couple of people mentioned, helps us prepare. You know, think of all the possible risks. What else have we got? Not sure on my slides. Avoid failure. Yeah, the more risks we can think, the maybe in our mind, the safer we think we're going to be. We're going to avoid that failure, and here the mix up of levels here. You know, so let's say someone's giving a presentation, and they're feeling really anxious, and they're running through their minds. They're losing sleep because they don't want to, you know, make a mistake in the presentation, or they don't want to get it wrong or look foolish. And then in their minds, they might think, well, if I don't know the answer to the questions, it means the presentation's failed, and that might mean that I've failed as a person. So they're taking what's a situation and personalizing it to them as a whole person, which can really get, you know, which can really get us humans stuck, because then we have to protect our sense of self. Cover all bases, kind of similar there. Motivation, I think did Jeanette mention that one? Yeah. And I'll put crappy there. So it's a motivation, but it's away from failure. You know, it's like, you know, doesn't feel good, as opposed to moving towards success. Now another really valuable benefit of anxiety is that it tells us something's important. So kind of pause and ponder this. Like if something's not important, I know, say you're, you know, going to the corner shops to buy some bread and milk, you know, out of this COVID situation, would you feel anxious about it? You know, there's no anxiety. We only get anxious if something's important to us. So that in itself is a really powerful reframe. If we're feeling anxious, we can go, oh, okay, well, this must be important. This is important to me. That's why I'm feeling these feelings. And maybe even rather than anxiety, maybe it's excitement. Maybe there's some excitement, the excitement about the possibility ahead. So those are all the benefits, and there's probably a few more there that we haven't captured. One of the important parts of that slide is, or that kind of nugget of information, is pausing and thinking, okay, I'm creating anxiety, I get benefits out of it. Are there better ways, more useful ways I can achieve those benefits? Like, is there a better way I can be prepared rather than feeling anxious? Now we want to share how we create anxiety. So kind of catching that, how the language there, how we all create our own anxiety, because there's a certain strategy or a certain process that we all follow. The first one is, in our mind, it's a thinking process, so we're thinking it, and then what we're thinking is, it's always future-based. Like, we're never looking back, you know, at something that's already been and feeling anxiousness. You know, once it's been, it's been. So anxiety is always future-based. We're always looking into the future, kind of got that crystal ball, making a prophecy about something that could go wrong. So in a way, it's a fantasy. You know, we're creating this fantasy. We're using our awesome brain power, our creativity, our energy. We're using our time, using all of these resources that we've got to create a worst case solution, which seems bizarre, right? So we're creating this fantasy, but it's not even a good fantasy. It's not like, wow, I'm sitting on the beach with my family, or having a great holiday, or maybe even, I don't know, maybe even a more interesting fantasy than that. It's a fantasy about what we don't want. So it's the first part. We're always looking into the future. As part of that, check with yourself, when you're creating anxiety or anxiety or stress or worry, very often it comes with that voice in our head, which is ourselves, us talking to us, asking us a certain kind of question. You know, so for that person who's got a presentation on the Monday and it's the Thursday before or the weekend before, she might be saying to herself, well, what if I don't know the answer? What if they don't like me? What if I forget my lines? What if someone's really hostile? What if no one shows up? Now you notice all these questions are that special kind of what if question. You know, what if, what if, what if, what if? And more than that, adding a bit more detail, they're all negative what if questions, right? So negative what if questions. And the risk is with negative what if questions, we dig a big hole of negative what if questions and we can't get out. You know, because we just keep on digging deeper and deeper and deeper. So one of the ways to get out of the hole is to actually, well, be aware of the negative what if questions and then pause, maybe try a positive what if question. Hey, what if it goes really well? What if it's my opportunity to shine? What if it's my opportunity to connect with more people? What if I offer some tools that people could really, really use? So go catching those negative what ifs. Making a movie. I know I'm talking, I'm probably hogging the mic. Shall I hand over to you for a slide, Melissa?
Yeah, so usually we don't create a movie like a dream tale or something. We don't create a movie usually where we are shining and, I don't know, winging $1 million and become a superstar, right? So most of the time we create a movie with a crappy scenario where we are undermined, where the worst will happen. And is it really that's what we want, or is it really that's what's helping us? Maybe not, right?
Yeah. So, and often this is outside of our awareness. So we've got this, got this big supercomputer mind. Unfortunately, it never came with an instruction manual. You know, when we got delivered, there's no instruction manual to how to work the mind and the brain. So very often, or almost always, when we're creating stress or we're creating anxiety, which, internal process, so we know that now, in our mind, we'll make a movie. We'll make a picture. It might be a still picture like a photo, or it might be a movie picture of what we don't want. So the person with the presentation, they might be feeling anxious, feeling anxiety, creating anxiety, but in their mind, making a movie clip or a picture of them maybe freezing up in their presentation, or maybe it's the audience looking really bored or dissatisfied, or maybe it's no one showing up. Whatever it is, there'll be a movie clip in their mind, almost always, and a soundtrack. So we've got the movies in our minds, and there might be some auditory track there. It might be the person saying to themselves, well, no one's going to listen to me, or people will be bored, all these kind of things. And then we create anxiety. So that's part of the strategy. So a quick exercise for you. Think of that example where you're feeling stressed or anxious about. So think of that example. It might be probably a real world thing you're actually feeling a bit, maybe some anxiety about now. And then take your awareness to what you're thinking of. You can close your eyes if you want, if it can help you focus and see the movie in your mind. So take a deep breath in and see the movie in your mind, the movie or the picture, about the thing you're creating anxiety about. And just take notice, is it a color picture? Or is it black and white? My guess is probably it's color. And then check on the size in your mind. What's the size of the picture or the movie? Is it really big, or is it quite small, like a real small photo frame? Does it have a frame around it, or does it stretch all the way to the sides? Is it close? Is it far away? Is it moving, or is it still? Is it in front of you, a little bit up, left, or down, or maybe even behind you? Probably in front of you somewhere. And then, is there a soundtrack? Can you hear anything that goes along with the movie? Are you saying anything to yourself? So check the movie that you're running. And then once you've got it, knowing that you're fully and completely in control of what you think, then try changing that movie or the picture to black and white. Just change it to black and white. So, yeah, like pushing the button on the remote control, change it to black and white, put a frame around that picture if it hasn't got a frame around it already. Then maybe, you know, grab in your mind's eye, grab the corner of the picture and shrink it down really small. Shrink it down smaller and smaller, and then push it further and further away. Maybe try putting that picture behind you, in your imagination, flick it behind your head and push it away. If there's any soundtrack, just play with how it sounds. Yeah, maybe you make the sound lower and lower, turn the volume lower and lower. Or if it's a voice, maybe change the voice to something really calm and soothing, like a really relaxing yoga teacher, or make it something really funny like Donald Duck. And just see how that changes the experience. Just experiment with that, and then know that you have the power, right? You have full executive control over your mind. Nice. And let's take a deep breath and just join us back here on the webinar. So those are some of the mind hacks that you have control over in your mind. As you can change how it looks, where it's placed, the color. Another mind hack is, and this can sound really, really simple once you know it, is if you're going to make a fantasy in your mind, hey, why not make it a positive movie or a positive picture? You know, make it the picture of what you do want rather than what you don't want. Because you have control over that. It might be what that positive presentation looks like. Melissa.
Yeah, so another way of creating anxiety is forgetting. So when we create anxiety for ourselves, we do this weird thing, we forget. So we create amnesia. We forget about all the stuff we've done, we've achieved, all the challenges we've already been through, all the skills and experience we've had. We forget also about all the support we had or we received. Feeling lonely, we don't think about all the connection we have. So we really filter and forget about what could help us or what could empower us. And during this hard time, we surpassed, we survived, but we forget that. We forget that after every storm comes the sun up. So that's another way of creating anxiety is to create amnesia.
Yeah. And it's crazy, right? I mean, us humans, we're all here and we've all been through challenges in our life and we've all been through tough times. And because we're here, we've survived them and we've built up resources, we've built up experiences and knowledge and wisdom. Yet weird, like when the pressure can come on, often we forget all that. And like Melissa said, I mean, it really helps create anxiety. So for you, just take a minute and reflect. When you're creating anxiety for yourself, and you know, maybe this is a pattern for you, maybe you're really good at creating anxiety. You know, I know for myself, before I learned these skills, it was like I had my black belt in anxiety, maybe a fifth dan black belt anxiety. I was really, really good at it. I could do it in a split second. So just pause and, you know, kind of inquire, reflect for yourself. What are you thinking when you're creating anxiety? You know, is it a certain picture, a movie you're making? Are you saying certain things to yourself, that inner critic? You know, maybe you're doubting yourself, or maybe you're criticizing yourself, maybe you're judging yourself. Maybe you're asking lots of those, you know, negative what-if questions. Maybe you're, as Melissa detailed, running amnesia. Maybe you're forgetting all your experiences and your wisdom. So just kind of pause and make a few notes. How do you create anxiety? How are you really, really good at it? How do you do it? What's your strategy? Let us know if you've got any questions. We'll just give you a few minutes to pause and reflect on that.
And if anyone wants to share, just raise your hand and I will give you the mic. Janet?
Melissa, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
I think for me, one of the things is I often will reflect on worst case scenarios, and it's usually from previous experiences.
Mm.
For example, going into a board meeting where you know you've had a hard time the time before answering questions, and in the back of your mind, although you're prepared, you've done everything, you've got the data there, there's still that little back of your mind scenario of what happened the last time.
Mm. Yeah, yep. Yeah, so referencing that previous occasion and then taking that forward. And
Yes.
then I'm guessing when you reference the previous occasion, that's when it can be create anxiety, and then also maybe a meaning attached to it, right? Like, oh, yeah, last time they asked me something, I didn't know the answer, and then that meant, you know, because as humans, we're always making meanings, you know. So I remember,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, oh, that meant, oh, I didn't know the answer, and that must mean I'm not good enough, or I'm not fit for the job, or all these kind of things we can run in our mind.
That's exactly right. I think it is. And I mean, you know in your heart that, as you said, you've got that experience, you have all the skills, but there's that nagging doubt there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. So part of the value of this is, even in that kind of short soundbite, there's a whole lot there. One part is recognizing, well, that was back then. It's not now. It's back then. So putting it behind you where it is. And the other useful question to ask is, well, what did I learn? What's the valuable learning I learned back then that I can take forward to now?
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Jen. We have Bronwyn say she's a master at inner critic and discounting.
Yep, both really effective for creating anxiety. And what's your way of managing that, Bronwyn? How do you know what's the best way for you that you can manage that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There I am. Yep. I think trying to actively count things when I have succeeded. And then I try to rationalize away the inner critic. I'm not sure if that's the most effective strategy, or that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Yeah. So one really valuable thing I found with the inner critic, and the inner critic, I could say my inner critic was really harsh on me. And then at the same time, it's me talking to me. You know, when I'm criticizing myself, it's me talking to me. One thing I found really helpful was understanding when I'm being critical to myself, the inner critic, it has a positive intention. So even though it can be really judgmental and critical, it has a positive intention. So I can hear it and go, okay, so thanks for that. What's your positive intention? Oh, you don't want me to fail, or you want me to be safe. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for raising that concern. I've got this.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for sharing. Okay.
So, Janet, I think Janet wanted to add something.
Sure, please.
No, I didn't actually. I just clicked the wrong button. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. That's fine.
All good. Hey, we'll carry on.
Yeah.
Hey, so with all of these ways that we create anxiety, like Bronwyn shared inner critic or discounting. Discounting is not appreciating our experiences and our strengths and our wisdom. They all snowball. All these things snowball, and they gain velocity and they gain weight. And then what we can do is we can turn something that's a possibility, a very small possibility, we can turn it into a probability. You know, so we turn something that might be, 0.001 possibility into, in our minds, we kind of make that picture bigger and brighter and more colorful. And before we're knowing it, in our minds, we're treating it like, oh, this is definitely going to happen. I'm definitely going to fail. I'm definitely going to not know the answer to these questions, or it's definite no one's going to show up and I'm going to look ridiculous. So we kind of magnify it in our mind, but we don't pause and go, oh, actually, hey, no, I've done the work. I've got the experience. If I don't know the answer, it's no big deal. You know, I'll say I'll go away and I'll find out. I'll treat it like an opportunity. So it's a bit like You know, the All Blacks playing Namibia, I think in the last World Cup, the All Blacks played Namibia. You know, any game, there's a possibility any side might win. You know, but I'm not sure about you, but I wouldn't be putting $100 on Namibia beating the All Blacks in a rugby game. You know, so it's a possibility, but it's not a probability. So it's part of it's kind of like catching it, and like Bronwyn mentioned there, rationalizing it, stepping back and going, actually, yeah, it's a small thing. I've got this. I'll put the homework in. I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm aiming for progress. I'm going to learn and grow from this exercise and help people along the way. So that's some of the steps, some of the main steps, how all of us humans can create stress and anxiety, you know, inside ourselves. Next thing is we're going to flip that over, you know, flip it over completely, and take the opposites and give you the recipe for resilience. So how you can build resilience to show up and be your very best, whatever the outside situation is. You know, because we're all going to have, you know, the COVID situation is external pressure. Once this passes, and it will pass, you know, there might be job interviews, job promotions, presentations, board meetings, sales, whatever it is. In life, we're always going to have external pressure. You know, the secret is having that internal skills and your internal resilience. A key part of this is your 4 powers, and Melissa's going to share some really awesome information on the 4 powers.
Yeah, maybe in this current situation, you feel overwhelmed, useless, you're not being the master of this situation. You didn't decide anything about this lockdown, right? But in reality, you have 4 powers within yourself. So you've got 2 internal and 2 external, and these 4 powers, no one can take them away from you. So the first one, the internal, the most important one is the thinking one. So it's your private power to think. You have the power to conceptualize, believe, understand, reason, and represent things. So it's only in your power to think about something nice, positive, or comforting. No one can change your thinking. Only you can do that. The second private one is the feeling, is the power to sense, experience, perceive, and become aware of things. So more perspectives give you more choice. It's your power to feel joy, excitement, calmness. Again, you have the power to choose what you're feeling. So we've got these 2 internal and we've got 2 external. So the public power, the one that other people can see. So the first one is the power to speak. That's your private power to use language and symbols to affirm and use words that change your minds. So speaking to your beloved one and bring them support is in your power again. And the last one is the power to act, take action, behave. That's your private power to move and work, respond, react, and the ability to respond to life's difficulties and communicate with life is in your power again. So with these charts now, you can see that instead of feeling useless, you can activate one of your 4 powers, and that's a huge thing to do.
Nice, awesome. So for anxiety and stress, it's all like as we've shared, and as you know now, it's fully created in our mind. So it's our kind of internal thinking power. But you know, obviously, we're not using that thinking power for our best. It's got a positive intention. You know, we can think running anxiety can keep us safe. But then there's the question: well, is the best way for us to be safe? So when we create anxiety, it affects all the other 3 powers. You know, when we're thinking that way, it connects how we're feeling, and then if we're creating anxiety, very often we're not using our power of communication. We're not using our power of doing. So we're going to flip that over and really harness our 4 powers. So the first ingredient for the recipe for resilience, and really it's kind of a blinding flash to the obvious, is focus on useful thoughts. And you know, one of the key attributes of resilience that's been shown and proven through research studies time and time again is having an optimistic attitude. So people who are resilient, and also in a study about luck, people who consider themselves lucky or who are held as lucky, have an optimistic attitude. An optimistic attitude can be, well, yeah, we're in lockdown here in New Zealand and parts around the world. Well, what are the silver linings? You know, what are the opportunities I can create? You know, we can do some reframing there. Well, rather than being locked down, I've got the opportunity to stay safe. I've got the opportunity to do some more study. I've got the opportunity to pivot my business. I've got the opportunity to have more quality time with my family. So it's focusing on those useful thoughts. And it's also part of that mind hack we shared before about, you know, the pictures in your mind. It's thinking about what you do want rather than what you don't want. You know, if someone says, I don't want to be stressed, well, not being stressed is not a way. It's, okay, what do you want? Well, I want to be calm and confident. I want to be compassionate and loving. I want to be fun and connected. Okay, so these are what I do want. You know, focusing on useful thoughts might be every single day, pausing to count three things that have been a success. It might be focusing on 3 things you want to achieve in the day. And then, you know, those things you want to achieve, creating the picture in mind, what it looks like, how it feels when you'll be achieving those. Might be, you know, focusing on other people around you who you can connect with and care for.
And so Janet mentioned that it makes her think about cup half empty or cup full scenario.
Yeah, bang on. So optimistic attitude and cup half empty, half full, and it might be, hey, well, actually, I've got a cup. You know, we're really lucky. I've got a cup and it's got something in it. What can I do with that cup? Yeah, nice.
And Bronwyn asked the question, what would you say to a loved one who is under responsible for their internal powers? I can help feeling overwhelmed by worry, etc.
Yeah, so valuable question. You know, often people we care about can slip into that, let's say, under-responsible, or they're slipping into being unresourceful or distressed. So it's kind of like a mixture of things we can offer. One is, you know, really connecting with them and hearing them, you know, building that rapport and saying, oh, hearing that you're finding it tricky, connecting, validating their emotions can be a bit of, yeah, you know, I hear that you're stressed, I hear that you're worried, and hey, that's all perfectly understandable. It's perfectly understandable you're feeling this way. So you kind of, you know, going to their bus stop, you know, joining them at their bus stop, and then once you've built that rapport and joining them, then you can, kind of slowly, you know, help them move away from that bus stop, maybe with some open questions like, oh, you're feeling that way, and okay, so this is the problem. What do you want to have instead of this problem? Rather than this problem, what do you want to have instead? Or, hey, what is going well? What is going well for you? Just kind of offering some glimmer of light, you know, glimmer of rays of light to help them move out of that stuck spot. And it might even be kind of offering some awareness if they're running a lot of negative what if questions. It might be kind of, oh, I can hear all these concerns. Rather than that, you know, what are the possibilities? What could happen? It might be, you know, reflecting back their positive intention. Okay, here you're running all these worries and concerns. When you're doing that, what's your aim for that? And they might be, yeah, well, I stay safe. Nice, thanks, Bronwyn. Another tool and tip we'd like to offer is focusing on useful thoughts, kind of hand in hand with the what if questions, is ask yourself better questions. And actually, rather than better, another way of saying that is ask yourself more useful questions. You know, so someone is giving a presentation and they're like, well, what if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I don't know the answer? These are all questions in themselves. They're actually quite valuable. You know, like, what if I don't know the answer to that question? Well, then, you know, what if I don't know the answer to these questions that the board might ask me? Okay, so, you know, peel the layer off. What's another question about that? Well, what can I do about that? Well, what do I need to know? How can I best be prepared? So these questions are actually more useful to ask. How can I best be prepared? How do I want to be? What's the typical kind of questions they could ask? You know, have I done enough rehearsals? So the quality of the questions we ask ourselves helps determine the life we're going to lead. So little tip there, ask yourself more useful questions. So another little growth exercise to offer is just pausing and maybe just writing down on your pad and paper there, what are some more useful thoughts that you can think? You know, doing a bit of preparation here. What's some more useful thoughts you can think, positive thoughts, and maybe some more resourceful, more useful questions you can ask yourself. Just take a few minutes to make some notes for you.
And if anybody wants to share, raise your hand.
We'll keep on moving, and the offer is these questions. We're happy to share the slides. If you'd like a copy of the slides afterwards, we can send you the slides. And these questions, you know, you can keep on exploring them, keep on adding to them for your growth. Really useful to share with family and friends and your team as well if you want. Hey, the next ingredient for the recipe for resilience is pretty much the opposite of the amnesia, opposite of the forgetting that Melissa spoke to. So it's, and Bronwyn mentioned discounting. Discounting is another way of saying not fully acknowledging what we've got going for us, our successes, our experience, all that kind of stuff. So I think Bronwyn mentioned this too, how she helps herself into a resourceful state. So actually you can be pausing and consciously running through an exercise. You can do this in your mind, or it's even more powerful to write it down, to journal it, and acknowledge and count the things that you have going for you, the things that are kind of supporting you. So the first thing you can acknowledge is, hey, you're feeling stressed or you're feeling anxious. And, you know, kind of actually clipping into Bronwyn's other question, if you're supporting a family or friend, we can acknowledge that, hey, they're feeling stressed and it's okay. You know, it's fully understandable given the situation that someone would feel stressed or anxious. You know, there's a big presentation coming up, or there's this COVID situation. Hey, it's fully understandable that these kind of cocktail of emotions bubbling up for everyone. The next thing to consciously acknowledge is your skills and your knowledge. You know, as Jeanette mentioned, you know, she's going into that board meeting, it's kind of pausing and saying, well, actually, you know, I'm in this role. I'm in this role for a reason. You know, people trust me. I've got so many years of experience. I've built up so much knowledge. I've been through challenging times. I've navigated that. Some things have been real successes and some things haven't worked out that well. You know, I've made mistakes, and from those mistakes, I've learned things. You know, so from the ups and downs, I've built internal resources, I've built experience, and this all adds up to wisdom. So it's counting all those. You can even drop down into the detail and acknowledge the different difficult challenges you've been through and what you've learned from it. You know, the successes, what you've learned from that. So really kind of building up this this journal, this bank of your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience. And then another hugely valuable one is to pause and acknowledge the people you have around you supporting you. You know, we're family members, friends, team members. Sure, we might have some social distance, but there's people there to support us, who love us and who care for us. So really pausing and really connecting with that, you know, bringing those into the forefront of our mind. You know, it can be your internal resources, skills, experience, wisdom we talked about, and you know, and detailing what those are, and also external resources, you know, all the external resources that you have at your disposal to call on. It might be acknowledging the opportunities and silver linings. There's an opportunity here. We can connect online. Melissa created this initiative because we're in this COVID situation. So for us, it's an opportunity to connect and offer this information, and the silver linings, and more family time, catching up on some study, whatever it is. And fully acknowledging your courage in the situation, acknowledging that you're here and that you're committing to being your best. You're committing to showing up fully, you know, for trying something new. You know, we're not going for perfection. We're going for progress. So it's being here and now and showing up. So those are some of the things we can acknowledge and count. Following that from that, an exercise for you is, again, just take a couple of minutes and note down some of the things you can acknowledge. You know, so that you've got your health, you've got loved ones around you, connections, relationships. Maybe some of the challenges that spring to mind when you think of challenges you've overcome in your past and the resources that you've developed by going through those challenges. Okay, so just take a few minutes, make the notes for you. Again, let us know of any questions or sharings.
So if anyone wants to share his or her acknowledgement, raise your hand. I'll be happy to give you the mic.
Yeah, or maybe even, you know, is this something you do already, or maybe it's something that hasn't occurred to you. You know, I know for a lot of high achieving people, actually pausing and acknowledging something that is not usually on the radar. You know, often it's just achieve, and then something that doesn't go wrong, focus on the, you know, kind of quote marks, the failure.
Yeah, for me, on a personal level, after the first week, I realized that I was adapting, and I say, hey, yeah, it's okay, it's only adapting, but it's a big deal regarding the lockdown, right? So it was my first acknowledgement after the first week of, you know, just being in the doing and just pausing and realizing that adaptation is a big thing for me too. So I was quite happy to count that, and I felt really good about that later.
Yeah, nice, beautiful. I know for me and my my fiance, we've got two young sons, and we got to week 3, and you know, being a couple, 4 of us in the same house, we had some real fun laughs and stuff, and we were also, her and I had a couple of relationship arguments, and then it was the end of week 3, and we kind of paused, and we actually, you know, this is 3 weeks in the house all together. We really want to acknowledge that, hey, we're doing so well. You know, we're doing so well. It's a new situation, and although we've had some arguments, really let's pause and focus on, or really acknowledge how well we're doing. You know, the kids are healthy, the kids are having fun, we've got a roof over our heads, we've got yummy food. Let's focus on that. Nice. We'll keep on rolling.
Yeah.
Now the next recipe, the next ingredient is focusing in the now. So focusing in the now and moving into action. So this speaks to the external powers of the 4 powers that Melissa talked about, the speaking and the doing. So anxiety is in the head. You know, it's a thinking process. We're stuck in our thoughts, and often one of the traps with anxiety is we're thinking all these things. The supercomputer, the brain's thinking risk, fear, that might go wrong. I might not get that right. I'm like, oh, what if they ask me that? And oh no, what if? And we get paralyzed into inaction, doing all this thinking. But the risk is we're not catching those negative what if questions or the fears, or doing all this mental preparation, but we're not actually doing something about it. And we kind of get stuck in this big quagmire of anxiety. So the lesson to take out of this for all of us, I think, is to move into action. Get out of the head and to do something. Now, the doing something, it might be sitting down and writing an action plan. It might be sitting down and writing all your fears or all the risks down on paper, and then putting a possibility or probability. Marking them out of 100. What's the possibility it's going to happen? Might be creating some contingency plans. For the person giving a presentation, it might be calling up a friend and arranging a time to run through their presentation in a rehearsal. It might be going through the rehearsal by themselves and videoing themselves or timing themselves. It might be getting out of the house and walking around the block. It might be doing 10 push-ups. It might be making a yummy meal. It might be taking the kids out for a walk. It's doing something. Action creates action. Movement creates movement. Because action trumps anxiety. So the offer is, if ever you feeling anxious, firstly, be aware you're creating anxiety. And the next is, asking yourself the question, what can I do? What's the opportunity for me to do right now? And we're not going for perfection. We're not going for perfection. We're not going to climb the top of the mountain. It's what's the one small step I can do now? Writing a plan, rehearsing something, making a list of the risks, picking up the phone. So someone who might have anxiety about their mortgage payment, it might be, writing an email to the bank manager or contacting their bank and having a discussion. It might be, texting a family member and arranging a family Skype time. It might be getting the kids and saying, hey, let's go for a walk. Or actually, let's go in the garden and, I don't know, do some weeding or whatever it is. Action trumps anxiety. And then very often, once we do one small step, it creates the momentum for the next small step. And once we're moving, the body and the mind are connected. So once we're moving, it creates space and movement for the brain. And we think, now I can do that. Now, okay, that's the next step. Now I'll call my friend and arrange a catch-up time for that. Moving into action. I'll just go back a bit. So the kind of the key steps for building resilience that we've got time to offer here. There's more to it we can offer, but we found those ones really make a huge difference. How's everyone found it so far? Any thoughts, questions, sharings?
Yeah.
Bronwyn,
you're on.
Yeah, I think something you said earlier in the session about not personalizing things is really landing with me as a reminder. A lot of my anxiety is about performance related, whether in coaching or work or whatever. And I make it mean that I'm not worthy if I'm not doing a good job, but that's not necessarily the case. It's trying to reframe that as, well, what can I learn from this example? It doesn't mean I'm a bad person if I don't deliver a perfect outcome. So just trying to decouple performance from my worth as a human.
Wow, yeah, so powerful, man, so hugely powerful. And I've done that so much myself. Get our levels mixed up. What I do, equals my worth as a human, as you said. So yeah, awesome sharing. Thanks for that, Bronwyn.
So we have Jeanette as well. Jeanette,
Hi, thank you. I think, Kelly, when you were talking about your children and being at home with them and with your fiance, for me, it's anxious. I'm anxious about all of my parents and their families in their houses. And one of the main messages that I've had to keep on saying is, you do what suits you in your household, because I'm really anxious that there's going to be an overload that they must get all of this learning done with their children. but I'm really trying to give this message that that's not the case. It's about doing what suits your family.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, kind of adapting, fitting for the situation, what's right for them. Yeah, nice. And there's also a little bit I'm kind of hearing is, and I'll check with you, is that you're not responsible for what they can do. Like, you can offer guidance and you can offer support, and at the same time, every family has, you know, every family takes full responsibility for their own family, and you're offering the guidance. You know, do what you can.
I think that's right. I'm not responsible, but I think in my position you do feel responsible. So it's actually getting over that hump for yourself that, you know, actually I'm in the same position as them. I can't get out or do any more than I'm doing. But you do feel a little bit responsible, especially for those parents that maybe are finding it really tough.
Yeah. So there's also care in there. I'm also hearing a lot of care. You know, care and concern. The responsibility piece, one thing that's with the four powers, so we're all solely responsible for our thinking, our feeling, our saying, and our doing, is, and especially your role as a principal, you know, you're responsible to the families to provide a service, but you're not responsible for the families. So that you know, seeing that distinction there as well.
I think it's a bit like you can take a horse to water, you know, it's the same situation.
Yeah, exactly. You can provide the structure and the guidance, but they maintain responsibility for what they do. Nice one, thank you. Any questions on the chat box?
I think Bronwyn, would you like to add something?
No.
Okay. So
okay.
I think we're good.
Cool. Hey, we've got this, you know, with the stress and the anxiety, often a resource that I think most of us could really use is an inner sense of calm. So we've got this exercise here where we run through a quick exercise and guide you into a sense of inner calm, inner relaxation. Just take about 5 minutes, and we can anchor it in. And by anchoring, I mean we can kind of set a button. You might push a thumb and a forefinger like that. You can see my hand, my picture. At a certain point, we can set an anchor. So then after this webinar, at any time you get into a situation, you might feel your heart rate get a bit higher. You can fire that button, take a deep breath in, and connect to a more calm state. How does that sound? Everyone like to give that a go? Cool. I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone's faces, so I'm presupposing you're nodding.
Exactly.
Cool. Hey, so for the exercise, just make yourself comfortable. Hopefully you've got a pretty quiet space around you. No one can see your faces, so feel free to close your eyes. You know, make yourself comfortable in your chair, and just taking a deep breath in. Taking a deep breath in. I'm just going to guide you into a nice relaxed state, a bit of like a guided meditation. And the more you can connect with this relaxed state, the more you can take it forward anytime. Just starting to breathe in deeper, longer, calmer. You might feel your eyelids just naturally close and relax. As you're relaxing more and more, just think of a time when you were naturally relaxed. And think of a word for you that means calmness and relaxation. As you're going inwards, going internal, I'd like you to choose from your memory a time when you're completely safe and relaxed. A time when you may have been at home, in your room, or on holiday somewhere. A place that is special to you. And remember what it is like to be relaxed now. Nice. As you recall a time, perhaps even just coming home from work and resting so fully that you drift off. I'd like you to notice what you could see at that time, because often there is something you can see that really reminds you how easy it is to just relax, which may be the deep blue of a sky, or color of the wall, or some particular thing that reminds you of how you slow down. Even if it's just the way your eyes defocus a little and blur around the edges, as you get that sense of ease, when it really doesn't seem important to focus on anything in particular, except to notice what you see that reminds you of being deeply, deeply relaxed. And anchoring it by pressing your thumb and finger together now, and breathing in that word of relaxation and calm. Nice. And just releasing your thumb and finger, so you can go on to ask yourself what you could hear as you relaxed in that place, which may be just that silence, like the quietness in this room, which any unexpected noises remind you of, or maybe the sounds of nature, or of the things which are so much a part of that place where you relax. Or even just the way that as you relax, the sounds around you have a slightly different, even echo-like quality, like the sound of my voice now, as you anchor the sounds of relaxation by pressing your finger and thumb together again now, leaving you ready to recall the position you are sitting or lying in then, and how your body feels as it is relaxed now, because you're relaxing now, are you not? And often as you begin to relax, you may be aware of the discomforts in your body. Just like when you put your feet up and feel the tension drain out of your legs, which is part of your blood flowing easier, like the warmth of your cheeks as the blood flows easier to the outside of your body, and the gradual slowing down of your breathing, which happens when you're at ease. So that as you're aware of that feeling of being relaxed now, you can anchor that feeling by pressing your thumb and finger together again now, and breathing in that word of relaxation, and feeling that relaxation in every cell of your body, getting a sense of the color of relaxation and where you feel it in your body. Nice. And knowing that you have that sense of relaxation stored with that anchor, beginning to remember where you are here now, in this group, in this webinar, and in your own time, open your eyes fully, maybe blink them open, maybe stretch your body, come back to us here and now, maybe just move around. You can stand up and do a little stretch if you want. And then as you sit down, just fire that anchor, fire that thumb and finger of relaxation, and just see how it is for you. Okay, so that was just a quick exercise that can help you. If you anchored at that thumb and finger, if you feel yourself getting a bit stressed or anxious or frustrated, whatever it is, just fire that anchor and see the difference it makes. And a few tips to make the most of this is use it often. Use it as many times as you want. You're not going to wear it out. Another one is use it for small things before you use it for big situations. I know you might be going out to get some groceries and feeling yourself begin a little bit uptight, a little bit tense, maybe a 4 out of 10. Just fire it there and calibrate the difference. And then one more tip is when you are feeling really relaxed, maybe you treat yourself to a Sunday afternoon nap, one of my favorite things. Fire it again and put some more relaxation in there, top it up and keep on doing it. You can always come back to us and we can add a bit more to it as well. Now with these anchors, we can anchor any resourceful state. So we can anchor confidence, we can anchor self-belief, compassion, relaxation, all these states that you have naturally, we can anchor them in. So whenever you're going into a situation, you can fire that anchor and help you be at your best. Cool. I saw a couple of questions flash up. Any questions or sharings?
So we had a couple of people leaving, taking care of the kids and saying thank you. That was interesting and useful, very helpful and practical from Marion, Sandrine and Alison, so thank you.
Oh, cool, nice. Hey, just before we wrap up, I know we're kind of getting close to wrap up time. So for yourself, check that thing at the beginning of the session when we said, check what you're feeling anxious about and the score you gave it out of 10. Check how is it now? What are you thinking about it? How are you feeling about it? Out of 10, how is it? So just reflect on that. Oh, and then onto the action plan. So just take a few minutes, let us know of any questions. An action plan just for yourself, make a few notes about the key takeaways, the key takeaways, the key insights, because all this information, the information without applying it is worthless. So we're big fans of embodying it, taking it forward, moving it into action. So the key takeaways you're taking away, and then reflect on some of the key things that you want to stop doing. So Brahma mentioned the inner critic or the inner judgment. And maybe, I know for myself, catching that and stopping that. So maybe there's 2 or 3 things you can identify that you want to stop doing. And then the flip side, 2 or 3 things that you want to start doing. You might want to start doing more of them, or there might be a completely new habit that you want to start. So just make a few notes for yourself.
We're having a message from Elsa saying she feels much better.
Nice.
So that's good. Nice, Elsa. Thank you.
Thank you. And next steps from here, I'll just kind of share a few next steps while you might be making some notes, so you can take that forward with you. Next steps, hey, if you want to catch up for a one-on-one coaching conversation, we're happy to offer free 30-minute conversations. Just drop us a line here, myself, Melissa, or the info box. They're completely free. It's an offer there. We've got one-on-one coaching programs. We're offering a special offer for anyone that joins here during this COVID situation. We've got a Facebook and YouTube channel. We share videos, we share blogs, we share some inspiration on there. Pure Results Coaching. Be great if you can join us on the Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you can't find it, let us know. We've got a goal setting workbook. So how to set goals the most effective way that you can ensure your success. You might have heard that I think only 5% of people set goals. I think only 5% of people who set goals achieve them. So if you're in that 5%, you're in the winning bubble. So it's been proven that people who enjoy success in life set goals. Might be financial, relationship, happiness, career, whatever it is. So free workbook, let us know. We can share that. Or maybe Melissa's going to send it out to everyone. If you're a business owner, A really awesome tip is that at the moment, the government is offering 100% funding for business owners for business coaching. So we're an approved provider. So if you're a business owner, you can take advantage of this. So drop us a line for that. And as I mentioned, if you want a copy of the slides, let us know. We can send you through a copy of these slides with the questions and the tips. Oh, speaking of slides. Hey, any other questions before you wrap this up?
Anyone would like to add anything and raise your hand? Yeah, Bronwyn. Here you go.
Any tips on how would you use these learnings the same way with kids, or would you tailor them if you were working with a kid who was anxious at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd definitely recommend using them with kids. You know, depending on the age. Like my boys, one's almost 5, one's 3. So I'm kind of using some of the language patterns. You know, helping them understand where they're at now, maybe where helping them understand the emotions they're feeling. I think from ages 5 onwards, a lot of these tips are really, really applicable. You know, really, really valuable. The 4 powers one, that kind of connects with old sticks and stones, my break my bones. We learned in high school. I heard that, but I never really knew what it meant. Well, I never really applied it to myself. So I think a lot of these tips here that we're learning as adults, if we can pass them on to our kids and they don't have to go through all the pain and the suffering. I know I went through a whole lot of emotional turmoil growing up through adolescence and in my 20s. If we can pass these tips on to our kids, hugely valuable. So yeah, right from thinking useful thoughts, asking those open-ended questions with our kids, like, okay, so what do you want? What do you want to? I'm not sure if achieve is the right word, maybe a bit of a big word for depending on how old the kids are, but helping them visualize what they do want, helping them, with great question for kids, like what was your favorite part of the day? What were you happy about today? What did you, I want to say the word grateful. Great. What were you grateful for today? All building that growth mindset for kids. So yeah, great point. I reckon more of this leading by example and guiding our children through it. We can only help our children.
Anyone else? No.
So the chat boxes are.
Yeah. Which one is your Facebook page? I found a few similar.
Cool. Let's see if I can load it up now.
Yeah. And you're gonna have a link to watch the replay and share it. So no worries for those who left earlier or who's asking. I'm gonna send you the Facebook page. Here you go, Elizabeth.
Cool. There's the Facebook and the YouTube. Hey, really awesome to connect. Thanks again for dialing in. Our pleasure. Awesome to meet, and hope all the stuff's been helpful. If you've got any questions, drop us a line. More than happy to share it. And Melissa, any
No, thank you very much all for attending this workshop. I hope you had the most of it and that it was really helpful. That was the point, connecting all together, and let us know if we can do anything else. And yeah.
Awesome team.
Thank you very much.
Do your best. Speak soon. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.